Adventure motorcycles in the top-tier big bore category can now lay legitimate claim to being the most technologically advanced motorcycles on the planet. The biggest of the big, this category is not necessarily for beginner riders. These all-road behemoths can take on any terrain, but their pilots realistically see most of their miles on the backroads of the world, paved and unpaved, in search of whatever got them riding that day. We've gathered the traditional three brands of adventure kings in BMW, KTM, and Ducati, and thrown in the homeboy Harley-Davidson just to give this discussion a nice dose of red, white, and blue. Each bike tested is as standard as we could get from the manufacturers, and as close as possible to what you'll buy off the showroom floor. Some bikes here feature factory upgrades like BMW with their Enduro Pro mode, KTM with electronic packs enabled, and some even have aftermarket parts like Harley-Davidson's spoked wheels. These are all out-the-door realities. To score these bikes as fairly as possible in a comparison, we considered engine, chassis, and electronics performance as well as value for money and each rider's overall ranking. We then averaged them together to give a final order. Let's meet the players. Starting off, we have the grandfather of the adventure segment, the BMW GS Adventure, or GSA for short. This is the bike everyone thinks of when talking high-capacity adventure touring. It's the biggest of this four-bike gang, weighing in at 620 pounds, including a full 7.9-gallon fuel tank. Adding on the aluminum boxes puts it at 647 pounds as we set off. The GSA comes with the trademark BMW flat twin 1254cc engine with a claimed 134 horsepower and 105 foot-pounds of torque on tap. Our test bike was a 2020 model, but since the bike is unchanged, it's still more than relevant. BMW is well known for rarely having a standard model on the showroom floor, as almost every GS for sale has some form of factory option upgrade package fitted. Our GSA came with the premium and touring package, including dynamic electronic suspension adjustment, a system that's been around for ages that lets you choose between electronically adjusted suspension settings for solo riders with luggage, two riders, and two riders with luggage. Also included was dynamic traction control, heated grips, tire pressure monitoring, and ABS Pro. The touring package included a proximity key, GPS, cruise control, LED auxiliary lights, and mounts for the hard bags. We also had the dynamic package fitted, which gave us an up and down quick shift and the Ride Modes Pro feature. Ride Modes Pro features Dynamic, Dynamic Pro, Enduro, and Enduro Pro modes, all of which have their own throttle, traction, and suspension maps. Finally, our BMW GSA included hill start control, dynamic brake assistant, and engine brake control. All totaled up, the extras thrown at our test bike amounted to a premium over MSRP of $4,345. The KTM 1290 Super Adventure R is the only all-new machine in our 4x test. The Super Adventure got a thorough makeover for this year, or rather 2021, but we didn't get it stateside until this year. With a new, lighter chassis, updated frame dimensions and build, a solid reworking of the suspension and power plant diet program, styling and bodywork come next to fit around the split-style radiator, and other updates abound. If we're talking motors here, this one is a monster. 1,301 cc's of Super Duke-derived V-twin mayhem pushing 160 horsepower and 101 foot-pounds of torque is enough. Trust us. This is the kind of motor built for a racetrack. The KTM 1290 Super Adventure R weighs in at 552 pounds, including 6.1 gallons of fun. Standard KTM features include traction control, cornering ABS, off-road ABS, cruise control, engine modes in rain, street, sport, and off-road, keyless ignition, tire pressure monitoring, and Bluetooth phone connectivity. There are two optional electronic unlock upgrades available on the Super Adventure, the Rally Pack and the Tech Pack. Rally Pack adds the Stellar Rally mode to the 4 base engine map profiles and brings 9-level, on-the-fly, adjustable traction control to your hands. You want it. If you go for the Tech Pack, you get all the Rally Pack features, plus hill hold assist, motor slip regulation, and the Quick Shifter Plus system for clutchless up and down gear shifts. All this totals just $630 over the $19,499 MSRP. We love pleasant surprises here at Cycle News, and suffice to say, the Harley-Davidson Pan America has been a great one. The Bar and Shield brand really did its homework with the Pan America, and the up-spec Pan America Special we test here, creating a real alternative to the ADV steeds coming from Europe and Japan. Harley did give us a few options, including their perimeter spoked wheels, classy blue paint, and fantastic adaptive ride height. Powered by the potent 1250cc Revolution Max V-twin, Pan America riders enjoy 150 horsepower of nice power and 94 foot-pounds of torque. HD's ADV machine weighs in at 584 pounds, topped off with 5.6 gallons of fuel. There's not a massive difference between the base model and the Pan America Special. You get the same Revolution Max V-twin motor and 6-speed gearbox. The same engine stress chassis design, but the suspension is different. In the Special gets 47mm semi-active electronic forks, and the wheels can come in spoked like we got as opposed to the cast aluminum units. The Harley-Davidson Pan America Special's high-spec suspension features comfort, balanced, sport, off-road soft, and off-road firm damping profiles, and it adjusts electronically via measuring vehicle speed, suspension position, vertical acceleration, roll angle and rate, throttle and brake inputs, and the selected ride mode the bike's in. It's advanced. Aside from that, you get traction control, cornering ABS, cruise control, hill hold control, wheelie control, tire pressure monitoring, and 5 pre-programmed ride modes: road, sport, rain, off-road, and off-road plus, as well as 2 custom modes and 1 custom off-road mode. But there's more. Also in the mix is the HD drag torque slip control system, which essentially adds torque to the rear wheel in heavy deceleration situations, such as aggressive downshifting, complementing the slipper clutch. Our test bike was very close to a stock Pan America Special you can pick up at your dealership. All Harley-Davidson did was fit their spoked wheels for an extra $624 and put some knobbies on, which we asked for. There were no extra tech packs or special electronics upgrades, although we should have asked for the optional Screaming Eagle quick shifter to be fitted. Our price came back at $20,623. The Ducati MULTISTRADA won Rennie's Bike of the Year in 2021, and easily everyone's bike of the year, really. It's a truly excellent machine and rated by Ducati themselves as the finest they have ever created. Fitted with the superb 1158cc Desmo Sedici Stradale V4, you've got a whopping 170 claimed horsepower on tap and 92 foot-pounds of torque, putting it straight to the top of the performance chart in a package that weighs 577 pounds full of fuel without the luggage that comes fitted as standard. With the luggage, you're looking at 600 pounds on the dot. With the Multi V4S, you get all the bells and whistles as standard fitment. That means 4 riding modes, power modes, cornering ABS, Ducati traction control, Ducati wheelie control, daytime running light, Ducati cornering light, Ducati quick shift, Ducati brake light, vehicle hold control, cruise control, Ducati skyhook suspension, and full LED lighting without the need to make aftermarket upgrades. The MULTISTRADA also lays claim to being the first production motorcycle to be fitted with adaptive cruise control and blind spot detection as standard, a feature that put it head and shoulders ahead of the rest in the tech game. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have options to spend more cash on your Multi. No, sir. Our test bike came with spoked wheels and the optional Akrapovic titanium muffler, which added $1,768. Then there were engine protection side guards at $624 and the bash plate at $343, which equals our list price of $29,530. On the plus side, Ducati followed Harley-Davidson lead and has fitted the minimum preload feature free of charge for $22, something that can also be retrofitted to a 2021 MULTISTRADA V4S. This system works by reducing the rear ride height as you come to a stop to make it easier to get both feet on the ground. It can be activated at speeds below 59 miles an hour and deactivated above 71. Fourth place, Harley-Davidson. All 4 testers were generally surprised at how well the Harley-Davidson performed. For a first-time ADV bike, the Harley is superbly executed. The Harley won points for its grunty engine performance at low RPM and ease of use into the higher RPM range, but lost a few points with each tester commenting on the excessive heat the Revolution Max V-twin let off, especially while touring around at lower speeds. With the speeds up on the street, the heat issue goes away, but once you enter the next town and slow down, you will notice it right away. The Harley-Davidson's ergonomics were also a little off for total comfort for most, even though it proves to be a fun, attitude-enhancing ride. With a high-rise handlebar position putting your hands up, the ergos didn't exactly equal the most comfort or feeling of control the other bikes deliver, but you kind of feel like you're punching the wind in the face when you ride it, so that's pretty cool. There's a sporting edge to the Harley that shines through too, but the road holding quality lacked a little when compared to the couch-like road hugging comfort of the BMW or highly tuned carving nature of the Ducati. Given the base price of $17,000 for the Pan America, you get exceptional value for money with the Pan America, no matter which model you pick. And if you upgrade your bike to the Pan America Special, as we tested ours, you're still the second cheapest in this test. Adding another value tick is that you get the excellent addition of Harley-Davidson's adaptive ride height in conjunction with the semi-active suspension and vehicle load control systems. Speaking of the electronics, they are relatively easy to figure out on the Harley-Davidson and easy to adjust, certainly way more than the Ducatis, which had all of us guessing more than once. Although the Harley was ranked 4th in this test, that is an excellent machine in 4th place. When you consider this is Harley's first go at this segment, it is a real, legitimate alternative to the ADV status quo. 3rd place, BMW. If this test was conducted 10 years ago, you'd almost guarantee the GSA would win, but times have changed and the performance game has shifted substantially. The enormity of the chassis, the suspension, and the flat twin motor translate into the best mile-munching touring machine here. The ride on the road is velvety smooth, with every tester agreeing if this were plainly a long-distance touring competition, a BMW GSA would win hands down. Off-road or in stop-and-go situations, the BMW lost points for drive shaft lash compared to the directly connected competition. This made smaller throttle applications on tight or slippery sections a game of trial and error. This is offset somewhat by the immensely stable chassis. BMW can lay claim as the initial proponents of electronic suspension, but the platform, indeed the whole electrical suite on the GSA, feels a bit dated compared to the superb offerings from basically all the others. The dynamic ESA, electronic suspension adjustment, works well and has been around for some time, but the options in the market are now just too strong. The BMW is still the king of the freeway, but the KTM and Ducati have upped the game in total performance and on dirt to a point that has seen the GSA drop to 3rd overall. The overall platform hasn't been overhauled since 2013, when the water-cooled engine made its debut, or for the debut of the shift cam valve train in 2019. So it might be time for BMW to produce a new GSA. If that happens, BMW could well reclaim the title they held for so long. 2nd place, Ducati MULTISTRADA V4S. The Ducati is by far the best motorcycle here on the street. The V4 motor is an absolute ace. Smooth as butter down low, but with a super bike style top end that's impossible to get the most out of at non-licensed shredding speeds. It's also the most expensive bike here by far. Ducati offsets the tested price of nearly $30,000 by having pretty much every bell and whistle fitted as standard, including the side cases, which can be swapped out for aluminum ones. But you will have to pay extra if you want spoked wheels. We averaged 34.8 miles per gallon on the Ducati, which made this bike the thirstiest of the test. The Ducati's on-road performance, and we stress performance, is unmatched, but it's equally not in the same ballpark as the KTM off-pavement. The V4 motor's smoothness turns peaky on dirt roads, and more on-road focused ergonomics hurt its performances across the board. An area the Ducati needs work on is in its translation of electronics. Not in the type or amount of electronics it has, it's got the most of any bike here, but in deciphering just how to adjust and use them. They are simply not that easy to figure out, and it's simply a case of information overload. Having said that, the quantity of electronic rider aids is unmatched, and the adaptive cruise control and blind spot detection is a safety feature no bike this size should be without. The Ducati certainly feels the most premium of the bikes on test, which is both a good and bad thing. The good reason should be obvious enough, but it's also bad because it makes the rider petrified of scratching it or, God forbid, dropping it. This is in contrast to the more robust of the test, KTM, BMW, which seemed to shrug off errant tip-overs. In the end, the killer for us on the Ducati was the price. Both Rennie and Sean picked it as their winner, but the difference between the KTM and Ducati is nearly $10,000 as tested. That's a fact nobody can ignore. The Ducati obliterates the competition on the street and is also very good off-road, but not enough to topple the winner. First place, KTM 1290 Super Adventure R. KTM really did their homework with the new Super Adventure. It has one of the finest V-twin motors ever created, the chassis performance is unparalleled off-road, and the value for money is unquestionable. It's the least expensive in this test by $500. That's crazy. The 1301cc V-twin has way more performance than you'll ever need for this category. And it's a motor that can pull the double trick of being a doll at low speed and a beast when everything gets fast. The throttle response at low speed on dirt was exceptional, as it was on moderate to fast road riding. The engine was also the least thirsty on test, as we averaged 40 miles per gallon after both dirt and on-road riding. However, the KTM is not perfect. The 21-inch front wheel structure that makes the KTM such a winner off-road hinders it a bit on the street, for sure. In pure street performance, the KTM is a step down from Ducati. The suspension too suffers on the street and in the comfort marks, not offering the same ride quality of Ducati's Skyhook setup or plushness of the BMW. However, transfer the KTM to a little bit of dirt, and the ground loss to all others evaporates and is more than made up. KTM has spent a huge number of resources in making electronics as intuitive as possible. While there are almost as many parameters as the Ducati that can be changed, they are much easier to do so, and the massive 7-inch dash gives a classy feel to the electronic suite. We have to repeat that the KTM is the cheapest bike in this test. As tested, and given its performance advantage, especially off-road, and that it doesn't lose that much on-road, that makes it difficult to deny as our top choice here. All right, let's wrap it up. Here's the thing. Each bike here would make a worthy addition to your garage, but there are massive differences, not disparities, in personality, performance, and especially price with these 4 bikes on test. So we'll break it down into the following. If you want street performance, total premium attitude and style with good off-road manners, and don't mind spending the bucks, go for the Ducati. If you want the biggest, best mile-munching comfort machine ever created, continue to go for the BMW. If you want stupendous dirt and near equal on-road performance of anything in the class, pick the KTM. And if you want to be different, and don't we all, go for the surprise package of the test, the Harley-Davidson. You can read all the specs and comparisons in this story with quotes and detailed captions in Cycle News Digital Magazine story or online. Thanks for watching.